Over 700,000 Ford vehicles on UK roads carry a timing belt submerged in engine oil. Stellantis fitted the same design to another 500,000 cars across Europe. Peugeots, Citroëns, Vauxhalls, DS models. Honda put a version of it in the Civic. When these belts degrade, the debris doesn't just snap the belt and stop the engine. It blocks the oil pump. It starves the turbocharger, and on the Stellantis version, it plugs the vacuum pump that provides your brake assistance, turning a mechanical failure into a situation where you are pushing the brake pedal as hard as you can, the car is not stopping. The DVSA looked at the Ford version of this failure and concluded it was not a safety defect. Their reasoning: modern Fords use electronic power steering, which continues operating on battery charge even after engine failure, and the brake servo retains a vacuum reserve for a limited number of pedal applications after the engine dies. The driver keeps control briefly, and that brief window of control is what the DVSA leans on to classify engine destruction as a non-safety event. Ford's engine destroys itself at motorway speed, the servo reserve runs out within a few brake applications, and the regulator's position is that this sequence disqualifies it from mandatory recall. No recall issued, no letters sent. 3 engines, 3 manufacturers, 1 design decision that engineering departments knew carried risk, and sold regardless. If you own a Ford with a 1.0 EcoBoost, a Peugeot, Citroën or Vauxhall with a 1.2 PureTech, or a Honda Civic built before 2022, stay with this, because what Stellantis put in place to manage this scandal is something they're counting on most owners never finding out about. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell. This community doesn't let manufacturers bury the evidence. The timing belt has been a standard engine component for decades. It synchronizes the crankshaft and camshaft, keeping the valves and pistons moving in precise coordination, and runs dry, protected from the engine's oil system by seals and covers. Replace it every 60,000 miles or so, fit a new tensioner and water pump at the same time, and the engine runs reliably for 200,000 miles without drama. The job costs £350 to £500 at most independent garages, straightforward preventative maintenance. At some point in the early 2000s, engineers began questioning whether submerging the timing belt in engine oil could reduce friction losses and improve fuel economy figures on official test cycles. The oil acts as a lubricant for the belt, reducing the parasitic drag on the engine and contributing fractions of a percentage to the fuel consumption number that appears in the brochure. Fractions matter when EU emissions regulations tighten every few years and manufacturers are chasing targets that determine whether a model is viable to sell at all. Ford brought the design to volume production with the 1.0 EcoBoost, launched in 2011. The engine won multiple International Engine of the Year awards. Reviewers praised the performance for the displacement, the fuel economy figures, the compact packaging. The wet belt was presented as a maintenance advantage. Ford claimed the belt would last 10 years or 150,000 miles without replacement, significantly longer than a conventional dry belt. Lower service costs, a selling point. What Ford's engineers understood and what the service interval claims obscured is that the rubber in hot oil is a fundamentally different environment to rubber running dry. The thermal cycling, cold starts, extended motorway runs, repeated heat soak events in traffic, degrades the rubber compound at a rate the belt's claimed service life couldn't accommodate. The belt doesn't snap, it sheds. Microscopic rubber particles and fibers slow off the belt surface and drop into the oil sump below. Those particles accumulate around the oil pump pickup strainer, the mesh screen that filters oil before it enters the pump. As the debris builds, the screen restricts, oil pressure drops, the engine begins running lean on lubrication. The first component to suffer is the turbocharger, which operates at extreme temperatures and depends entirely on a constant pressurized oil feed to lubricate its shaft bearings. Oil starvation at the turbo produces a specific and recognizable sound, a high-pitched whine, sometimes a rumble, before the bearing seize. Once the turbo goes, hot exhaust gases enter the oil circuit, and what follows is rapid catastrophic engine damage, seizure. A repair bill between £2,500 and £4,500 for a replacement engine, on a car worth, in many cases, considerably less. Owners of early EcoBoost Fiestas and Focuses found this out at 60,000 and 70,000 miles. The failure pattern appeared on piston heads and the Ford Owners Club forums from around 2015 onwards. Consistent enough in its progression that independent mechanics began treating any EcoBoost with high mileage and no belt history as a pre-failure vehicle requiring immediate investigation. Here's the number that reframes the scale of this problem. Over 700,000 Ford vehicles with the wet belt EcoBoost engine are currently registered in the United Kingdom. Not sold historically, registered now on UK roads, driven daily. The 1.0 EcoBoost appeared in the Fiesta from 2012, the Focus, the EcoSport, the B-Max and the C-Max. Ford sold it in enormous volume across nearly a decade of production. A preventative belt replacement at an independent specialist runs £850 to £1,200. An engine replacement after the belt has already failed? £2,500 to £4,500. The question of who bears these costs leads directly to the regulator, and the regulator's answer is worth examining very carefully. In the United States, Ford issued a safety recall in 2023, recall number 23V-905, covering nearly 140,000 EcoSport and Focus models. The cited reason: the oil pump drive belt tensioner could fraction and cause engine failure. A mandated recall, repair covered, owner notified by letter. In the United Kingdom, the DVSA assessed the same failure mode and reached a different conclusion. Because when the EcoBoost engine loses power catastrophically, the driver retains steering and braking function. The engine dies, but the car can still be controlled. The DVSA determined this constitutes as a non-safety defect. No mandatory recall, no letters to 700,000 registered owners. The engine destroys itself at motorway speed, the car rolls to a halt, and the regulator's position is that the driver's ability to steer around the consequences disqualifies it from safety concern. The early EcoBoost failure rate was compounded by a separate issue on engines built between 2011 and 2013. A plastic coolant degas hose on these engines was prone to splitting, causing the cooling system to dump its contents rapidly and the engine to overheat. Severe overheating events accelerated the belt degradation significantly. Owners who suffered a coolant loss and continued driving were unknowingly fast-tracking their own engine failure. Ford's response to the hose failure was a replacement program. The accelerated belt degradation that followed was not treated as connected. Ford transitioned the main camshaft drive on the 1.0 EcoBoost to a conventional timing chain from around 2018 and 2019 onwards. If you're looking at a 2020 or 2021 EcoBoost, the camshaft drive is chain. What remains on even the chain-converted engines is a smaller wet belt still driving the oil pump. So the design hasn't been entirely retired, and the maintenance logic still applies. For anything built before 2018, the full wet belt camshaft drive is in place. The 150,000-mile service claim is what it always was, and the failure pattern is well documented. Pre-purchase check on any pre-2018 EcoBoost. Ask for documented belt replacement history. If none exists and the car has covered more than 60,000 miles, price a belt replacement. £850 to £1,200 into the purchase offer. If the seller won't move on price to account for it, walk away. Honda's version of this failure is shorter in the telling, but no less expensive in the outcome. The 1.0 VTEC Turbo engine fitted to the 10th generation Civic, 2017 to 2022, uses a wet belt timing system on the same design principles as the Ford unit. Belt degrades in hot oil, sheds particles, debris migrates towards the oil pickup, oil pressure drops. On the Honda, the turbocharger takes the damage first and takes it fast. The turbo runs on a pressurized oil feed, and the moment that feed becomes restricted, the shaft bearings lose lubrication. Failure follows quickly. Turbocharger seized, lower engine components damaged in the process. At an independent UK specialist, a preventative belt replacement on the Civic 1.0 VTEC runs around £1,200. A turbocharger replacement after failure? Significantly more and frequently accompanied by further engine investigation once the mechanic sees what the oil contamination has done downstream. Honda addressed the issue more quietly than either Ford or Stellantis. There are no high-profile UK safety recalls against the 1.0 VTEC wet belt. The failure pattern lives primarily in Civic owner forums and independent specialist reports rather than regulatory databases, which means owners relying on manufacturer communications to alert them to the risk are receiving no communication at all. The 2022 and later Civic moved to an entirely different powertrain, a 2.0-litre e-hybrid electric vehicle design dropping the 1.0 and 1.5-litre petrol engines entirely. The 1.0 VTEC is out of production. That doesn't help the tens of thousands of 2017 to 2021 examples currently being sold as used cars across the UK, where the wet belt history is absent from the service record because Honda never asked for it to be done. Now the Stellantis 1.2 PureTech, because this is the version of the wet belt failure that crossed from mechanical catastrophe into a safety event, and the manufacturer's response to it tells you exactly how these companies calculate their exposure. The PureTech 1.2 turbocharged petrol engine launched in 2013 across Peugeot, Citroën, and DS models, later appearing in Vauxhall and Opel vehicles when Stellantis acquired those brands. It powered the Peugeot 208, 308, 2008, and 3008, the Citroën C3, C4, and C5 Aircross, the Vauxhall Corsa and Mocha, the DS3 and DS4. Volume sales across the entirety of Stellantis' European portfolio, covering vehicles from city cars to family SUVs, The wet belt degradation on the PureTech follows a similar pattern to the Ford unit, but with one additional failure route that elevates it from expensive inconvenience to genuine danger. On short journeys and in stop-start city driving, fine droplets of unburnt fuel slip past the piston rings and dilute the engine oil. That fuel-contaminated oil attacks the rubber belt compound chemically, accelerating degradation beyond what heat alone would cause. The belt sheds debris, the debris contaminates the oil, and on the PureTech, that contaminated oil reaches the vacuum pump. The vacuum pump generates the negative pressure that provides power assistance to the braking system. Block the vacuum pump with belt debris, and the brake pedal goes hard. The stopping distance the driver expects when pressing the pedal is not the stopping distance they get. The car does not stop in time. This is not a mechanical failure the driver can steer around. This is a brake failure at speed. Stellantis issued safety recalls across the EU and the UK for vehicles manufactured between March 2013 and April 2017. Recall codes JZR for Peugeot, HFC for Citroën and DS. The recalls mandated belt inspection and replacement on affected vehicles. The existence of those recalls, issued because regulators agreed the vacuum pump failure constituted an immediate safety hazard, directly contradicts any suggestion from Stellantis that the wet belt design performed within acceptable parameters. The company acknowledged the design was a defect. The recall codes prove it. And then they kept selling the engine. The 1.2 PureTech continued in production with the known failure mechanism until a redesigned third-generation version arrived in late 2022 and 2023, fitted first to the Jeep Avenger and the Fiat 600, which replaced the wet belt entirely with a conventional timing chain, 9 years after the first generation launched, 6 years after the recall codes were issued. Throughout that period, the PureTech sold in hundreds of thousands of units across the Stellantis range, with owners discovering the failure pattern once they were outside the recall window or had bought at second or third hand with no record of recall completion. Stellantis put a compensation platform in place to manage the financial consequences. Details follow, because this is what the manufacturer is counting on most owners never pursuing. The platform covers 100% of parts and labor costs for PureTech wet belt failures, extended to 10 years or 110,000 miles from the vehicle's first registration. That is a significant commitment, and it is an implicit acknowledgement that the failure rate is high enough to warrant a structured program rather than case-by-case goodwill claims. The condition attached is a full documented service history maintained at the required intervals. Miss one service, use an independent garage that didn't log the work through Stellantis' system, buy a used example without complete paperwork. The compensation claim fails. Stellantis keeps the money. The platform is not advertised prominently at point of sale. Used car dealers are not required to inform buyers it exists. Private sellers, who may not know about it themselves, pass the car on and the information doesn't travel with it. The result is that a meaningful proportion of owners entitled to full repair coverage under the Stellantis scheme are paying for repairs out of their pocket because they never knew the scheme existed. If you own a Peugeot 208, 308, 2008 or 3008, a Citroën C3, C4 or C5 Aircross, a Vauxhall Corsa or Mocha, a DS3 or DS4, with a 1.2 PureTech petrol engine built between 2013 and 2022, contact Stellantis directly and establish whether your vehicle falls within the compensation platform. Pull the service history, identify any gaps and address them before making the claim. The coverage exists. The manufacturer will not volunteer that information unless pressed. Aggregate the numbers across all three engines and the cost absorbed by British car owners becomes substantial. The Ford EcoBoost engine replacement up to £4,500. Across even a fraction of 700,000 UK registered vehicles, the exposure is enormous, and the DVSA's non-safety ruling means Ford has no legal obligation to fund it. The Honda turbocharger and engine damage, upwards of £1,200 preventatively, considerably more after failure, on cars that are now 5 to 7 years old and trading hands in volume. The PureTech recall and compensation platform. Stellantis bears costs for owners who maintain documentation, but the undocumented cases, the second owner buyers, the cars that went through independent garages without paperwork trails, those repair bills fall entirely on the individual, which connects all three in the same engineering calculation. A wet belt in oil reduces friction losses by a measurable fraction. That fraction improves the official fuel consumption figure. That improved figure helps the manufacturer meet regulatory targets and market the vehicle as more economical than the competition. The cost of that fraction in belt replacements, engine failures, turbocharger replacements, and in one documented category of failure, compromised brake assistance, transfers to the owner. Not at point of sale, not as a disclosed risk, but later when the warranty has expired and the car has changed hands at least once. The emissions figure that justified the design are measured on a test cycle. The repair bills land in the real world. Before you buy any used petrol car built between 2011 and 2022, check what's driving the camshaft. Ask the seller directly. If the answer involves a belt rather than a chain, ask for documented replacement history. If none exists, assume it hasn't been done. For EcoBoost owners with pre-2018 cars and no belt record, get it inspected now. The £850 to £1,200 replacement cost is unpleasant. The £2,500 to £4,500 engine replacement after the belt has already failed is a write-off on most cars it's fitted to. Ford's transition to a timing chain from 2018 onwards didn't happen because the wet belt was performing well. It happened because the failure pattern was too well documented to ignore. For PureTech owners, establish whether you're within the 10-year 110,000-mile compensation window. Contact Stellantis before the window closes rather than after the failure happens. The coverage is there, and the company built it precisely because the failure rate demanded a structured response. They built it quietly enough that most owners entitled to use it never do. That gap between entitlement and awareness is not an accident. For Honda Civic 1.0 VTEC owners from 2017 to 2021, the absence of a formal replacement program doesn't mean the risk isn't there. It means Honda's communication strategy is silence. A £1,200 preventative belt replacement on a 50,000-mile Civic is considerably easier to absorb than a seized turbocharger and the engine investigation that follows. The manufacturer made a design decision that moved a known maintenance item inside the engine and told owners it would last indefinitely. When it didn't, the DVSA called it a non-safety issue. Stellantis issued recall codes and then kept selling the same engine for 6 more years. And Honda said nothing at all. Every owner who paid for an engine or a turbocharger out of their own pocket was subsidizing a fuel economy number on a brochure that nobody reads anymore. Your car didn't fail because you neglected it. It failed because someone decided a fraction of a percentage on an official fuel economy figure was worth more than the belt driving your engine. Has this ever happened to your car? Did a dealer or private seller tell you the belt had been replaced, and it hadn't? Did you pursue the Stellantis compensation platform and get pushed back? Share it below, because the comment section is where this evidence lives, and it's the one place these manufacturers can't quietly delete it.